From across the lake of the campgrounds of cruelty comes the sack-headed sequel to the original Camp Counselor Carnage that is 1981's Friday the 13th Part 2. This spruced-up slasher picks up 5 years after we've left off and brings in a new batch of lovable teenagers to the trenches of terror. How short is too short when it comes to Counselor Pants and Tops? How many sacks does it take to hide a hermit? How do you serve dog tartare? And is hide and seek on timeout if you pee yourself under the bed? Hope you've checked the breakers, made sure your spears are safely stashed, and your mom gore covered turtlenecks and extra tight, cause we're going back to camp.
Not the Chuddle.
Chuddle. Surprise! Whoa. Oh, that's fantastic.
So good! If what the actual fuck was a movie, out of the mist and into the fog, it's Chuddle the Pod.
What up, camp counselors? It's your boys, the Chuddlemen. We in the house. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chuddle the Pod, the horror movie club that takes a look at the serious and schlocky world of horror films. We keep it spoiler-free up top, but we'll let you know when the spoilers are about to drop. My name is Sam, and you hear my voice because this movie was my choice, and I chose.
Perfect. That's gold star. Keep on going, bro. This is amazing.
I chose Friday the 13th Part 2. I am joined.
That's what I like to do.
Yes,
Like you do.
you may have noticed a theme, and might keep going because that's what I like to beam.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah,
I should have wrote it. All right. I'm joined by my fellow Chuddlemen, Ross and Brian.
Huh?
Hey.
That's those two. You can follow
hey.
me at Chuddle the Sam on Letterboxd. That's Sam with an S, cuz sup. And you can follow Ross at Ross Purvis on Instagram to check out his art and tattoos in general. Cool vibes he has over there. Brian, why
Don't worry
follow
about
him? Don't worry.
Find me in
No
the Discord.
need.
I was going to say, he's in the Discord.
Yeah, Brian with a Y. Why not? Why is anything ever? Now, before we get into our movie, I've been sworn to a blood oath to tell you about our Discord. You can jump in there, talk to us about different things. We got all sorts of channels. We got a few listeners in there, a few former guests, a few mysterious people that who knows who they are. Maybe it's Jeff Bezos or Sean S. Cunningham.
Oh.
But
Interesting.
that's
Sean S. Bezos.
well, he's definitely in there.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I also have to tell you about our very real Patreon.
Yo.
Patreon's pretty dope. You get a Discord channel. We do bonus episodes where we answer questions, and we'll do non-horror movies. We got Grandma's Boy coming up, so that'll be fun. And of course, I have to shout out our special Coven of Witches.
Yo. I'll put on my robe and take off my pants.
Oh.
Shout out.
Oh.
All right. While you do that, we'll shout him out. Travis Maxwell Boone, the Witch Doctor of Doom. Paul Litch, the Ditch Witch. The Horror Bandwagon, the Witchy Wish Dragon. Trevor, the Witchmaster of Pleasure. Ricky Prejean, the Witchy Cajun. And Alex, the Witch of Spite and Malice. Your sacrifice gives us strength, and we thank your beautiful souls. Delicious.
Thank you.
And yeah, shout out, thank you. And with that, let's get into this movie. Friday the 13th, Part 2. Made by people. People made this movie. These people that made this movie are...
Who made these?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. It was directed by Steve Miner.
Mm-hmm.
So, new director for this one. Although I think he was a producer on the first one. I believe I read that somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he was friends with Sean Cunningham. And the writing credit on this one goes to Ron Kurz with story credits or original story credits to Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham. Starring, we get a little bit Betsy Palmer as Mrs. Voorhees.
Smidge.
Amy Steele as Ginny. Adrian King returning as Alice. John Fury as Paul. Kirsten Baker as Terry. Stuart Charno as Ted. Warrington Gillette as Jason. Kind of. Walt Gorney returning as Crazy Ralph. Marta Kober
Crazy Ralph.
as Sandra, Tom McBride as Mark, Bill Randolph as Jeff, and Lauren Marie Taylor as Vicky. Oh, also Russell Todd as Scott. That covers our core group there. You guys know any of these people from anything else? I know Steve Miner, the director, did H2O.
Oh. Yeah, no, not much. The only tidbit I know from the beginning, like the pre-production of this, is that he hired most of the original crew from the first movie to work on this one as well.
Sure. Yep, that is correct. All right. Let's jump all on over to the Gorometer.
It's time for the Goro.
Fatality.
Scale of 1 to 10. 1 being the psycho, 10 being the sadness. How gory is this bitch?
Oh, well, first off, zero Goros in this movie. But
that's
if we want to,
not a single Goro.
Not a single Goro. Maybe someday we'll cover a movie with a Goro in it.
Oh, wow.
But for now, we're 0 for however many Goros. But the gore in this one, yeah, this is tough. I'm trying to compare it because I remember I gave the first one a 5, right down the middle.
Yeah,
I'm like,
this has way less gore than the first one.
I know. I mean, I think it's a little more consistently spread out throughout the movie, so I'll give it consistency. But it's not. These are not Savini kills.
Well, a lot of it got cut for like censoring reasons to like make it so it could be an R-rated movie.
Oh, that's true.
Because
up until I think actually the box set you just bought, that Blu-ray one, actually has the original scenes.
There's some extended scenes in there, and I'm like, damn! If they had put this in here, like, turns out it's not that bad, and the guy did a good job. They just cut it all,
right?
But based on what's in there, that's why I would have gone higher on 13th, because I would put this at like, I don't know, a 3 or a 4, maybe 3.5. I'll call it.
Yeah, I'd probably set mine at like a 4.
I'd say a 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. It's low. Cool.
I mean, it's consistent though.
4 to split it down the middle.
Sure.
Who is this horror furor?
Furor? I mean, it is. If you're a fan of sequels, this is a great continuing sequel. Almost borderline requel.
If you're a fan of sequels, this is certainly a sequel.
This is definitely a sequel. So, like, you'd probably enjoy it.
If you're into slashers, campy type movies, not just that it takes place at a camp, but this one has, I feel, more a campiness to it. And
yes.
Oh, interesting. I felt the original was campier.
Oh, interesting.
I think I think this is like, if you are a really big fan of slashers, like this is like you have a masked murderer running around. You actually get to see this masked murderer before any kind of big reveal. So it's like you get a presence of like what that character is. So I would say like, yeah, this is definitely up the slasher. Right. Maybe, yeah, we know it. Maybe mutants. I don't know. You could, if you're into mutant movies.
Interesting. Yeah, slasher, camp. Not many more subgenres to break it into, I don't think. Is it a good hang movie?
Sure.
Yeah.
Any slasher can be, yeah. I mean, not any slasher, but a lot of them within this kind of scope that this falls into, yeah.
Is it for beginners?
Sure.
I'd
say yes.
Very, very
beginner in a sense, yeah. You're getting into horror and you want to know what a slasher movie's like. This is a good example, especially of the time. Like, if you want to look at an 80s slasher movie, 80s, 70s, like that era of slasher.
I agree.
Oh, yeah. And I think because the Goro meter is so low on this movie, is that it's not going to really gross or freak you out with the level of gore in this. Like, this is a good one that if you're like just getting into kind of like slasher.
The gore in this is what I expected in the first one. And the first one, I was like, couldn't believe how good it was and how much we got. And then in this one, I was like, this seems more right. Is it not for anyone?
I mean,
there's a dead dog, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't think there's any other huge triggers that I saw.
No.
You're going
Mostly
to an 80s
just,
slasher. Be prepared for 80s slasher tropes.
yeah,
Mhm.
because the tropes are aplenty in this movie. But yeah, maybe the animal death. But maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a pump fake, though.
Well, there's still certainly a dead animal.
Well, it's a real dead dog.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Who picked it and why? What's the history with it? I picked this. If you haven't heard our other episode covering Friday the 13th, haven't seen these movies. I bought the box set. I'm watching them. And so, yeah, I just kind of wanted to go through the whole process of experiencing these movies with my boys, with my Chuddlemen.
I'm so excited.
And here we are
Going
doing
down
it.
this journey with you.
We are to doing it.
Mhm. The 13th series is one of my favorite series to revisit.
Certainly.
What's your guys' histories with it?
Oh,
I
with
mean,
part
I don't.
two?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The movie we're talking about tonight.
Oh man, I mean, no, well, we were also talking about the franchise. I mean, like for part two, I don't know. Like this is definitely the one where like you kind of get this is the spark to the Jason engine. You know what I mean? That you were going to be getting for the rest of the. This is the I don't know. Good pure slasher 80s shit in this one.
Have you seen it a ton or not that much? Or do you remember when you first watched it or anything like that?
To be totally honest with you, no. This is going to be one of those lost ones where I don't know exactly when I watched this in like the because I jumped around a lot when it came to these sequels. I'm not 100% sure when I actually sat down and watched part two in the series of it.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to come into once we start getting into more of these and asking this question for them. I think it's going to blend with me as well within the franchise of I can't remember particularly when I saw which sequel and at what point. It would have all been like in those times that I was like just discovering and actually watching Nightmare on Elm Street. Then I probably went through and watched whatever Friday movies were available at the time. But I don't have a particular recollection of like seeing this one or even seeing this one a bunch.
Right.
Like
Fair. All right. With all that said, I think we can go ahead and strap in our seatbelts and hop on in the car as we get on to the
spoiler zone.
The store where we buy all our spoilers.
Ooh.
All right. I'm got some behind the scenes for us again, as I did last time. So we already touched on a little the deleted scenes that are on the box set that I just got. You see so much more gore. That it's silent. There's no audio to it. The guy who was the makeup special effects artist had a VHS copy of this and turned it, and that's how we are able to see this stuff.
Dude, that's amazing. It kind of reminds me of My Bloody Valentine in the fact of like there's like the one that everyone saw and then this insanely graphic one that just emerged because of all the heavy editing.
Right. Yeah, there's well, I'll touch on them as we talk about the kills and gore. Adrienne King didn't want to be in this movie a whole lot because she had a stalker since the first movie and actually apparently like kind of retired from acting and did some voice acting later because of having an obsessed fan.
Oh wow.
Yeah. In the scene where at the end where Jason crashes through the window, that actor like the first time just banged his head on the glass and injured himself. Didn't break through.
Yeah, I saw a thing that like I don't know if this impedes on anything you're gonna say. Yeah, by the time they did that scene so many times or whatever that like at the end like both of those actors in that scene were just fed up with it. Like you see him like when he busts through, he's like drooling and all that. He's like, I'm just so done with everything at that point. I heard him say in some interview. It's like that's all
So
real drool because I'm just like feral.
So they Kubricked it. They did take 355 of him diving through a window,
and that was first Jason.
Oh my god!
There's two.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, that I'll touch on the two thing. Didn't have Betsy Palmer makes an appearance, but Tom Savini went to work on something else. Sean Cunningham didn't really want to do it. None of them liked the idea of Jason being the killer,
Yeah.
and they all commented, like, well, if he was alive, why wouldn't he have just gone to his mom and she not kill everyone when she finds her son alive?
What was it? Savini, I think, was doing another camp one. He was doing The Burning.
The Burning, yeah. He had to do that instead. Jason's look in this one is modeled after the town that dreaded sundown. The only difference is that the burlap sack he wears has only one eye hole, and his shirt has a slightly different plaid pattern.
Nice. Perfect.
I'm just picturing at the store where they're picking out. It just says slightly different plaid.
Slightly different. Perfect.
I need a plaid shirt. I just need it slightly different.
That's blue and black
that.
checkers. We have black and blue checkers.
Blue checkers.
Perfect. That's slightly different. Need it.
Done.
Got it. Done. Give me a couple.
The opening scene of the movie when we see presumably kids' feet walking, saying "Itsy Bitsy Spider," and then Jason's legs walking. Those legs were the film's costume designer Ellen Lutter, and it's the only time Jason a woman has stood in for Jason in any of the films in the franchise.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
So Warrington Gillette is credited as Jason, and he does the burst through the window, but that's the only scene he's in the movie. Steve Dash, a stuntman, played Jason in the rest of the movie, and he didn't get credited for it. However,
dashed again.
Yeah, in the third one, they do archival footage of Jason, and he gets credited as Jason in the third one.
That dude's funny. He's real fucking super Italian. And when you hear him, yeah, it's so funny.
That's amazing. Could you imagine just that heavy of an Italian accent coming out from the sack at any given
Well, it's funny because he also, one of his stories is talking about how he didn't at all hang out with the main actress, because the original first Jason, the one who goes through the window or whatever, he was younger and attractive and handsome looking, so he was hanging out with the cast and they all got along well. Steve Dash is a much older man, so he's I didn't fucking hang out with those kids at all. And he's I gave her space, she gave her my space, and we were cool like that. Yeah. Oh, it was awesome to hear him talk.
Warrington Gillette, the burst through the window, Jason auditioned for Paul and didn't get it, but they liked him so much, and he had gone to stunt school
or something like that. So
yeah.
they're oh.
Well, you can be Jason then. So it makes sense that he was more like the other actors, I guess. So I'm confused. I've seen several things on the Adrienne King stalker thing, but then there's this quote from her from a Screen Rant interview. I actually said to them I would do whatever they needed for the sequel. I was theirs and I was very happy. And I never got a script. Didn't even get a script. Then there was a car that picked me up, and little did I know, but I get up there and the crew's almost gone. Everybody had gone. I didn't realize, but they had actually filmed the movie already. When they brought her in for her opening scene.
Oh, wow.
Well, I don't know if it was her or someone talk about that whole opening scene with her was improv by her.
It is improv, yeah. The phone conversation with her mom trying to get over it. Yeah, there was no script.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. She did a great job.
Yeah, totally. I would have known. I guess she probably had a lot of experience from the first one.
Sure.
Now just throw shit in front of this door. The film I don't know if this is actually accurate, but according to an IMDb trivia piece, it has one of the longest pre-credit sequences in cinematic history, almost 15 minutes before you get the Friday the 13th.
Like a title card. Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
Which I can think of a couple movies that are much longer, so whatever. 48 seconds were cut from the movie.
Was it Fresh?
It's the first one that came to mind, yeah.
Yeah.
RRR.
Yeah, there's a lot. RRR is a really good example.
Of course it is.
48 seconds were cut from the movie to avoid an X rating. Jason was the original working title for the movie. But I'm glad that would have been a bad move, in my opinion.
Jason.
Nowadays, you can and they have, now that it's established, you can call a movie Jason, you can call a movie Chucky. You could do a Freddy, I guess, if you wanted, but that doesn't sound too scary. Mm-hmm. This was the only Friday the 13th film. I wanted to include this since we touched on Roger Ebert last time. This was the only Friday the 13th film that Roger Ebert did a print review for. He gave it 0.5 star out of possible 4 stars. And in the review, he finished by simply writing, quote, "This review will suffice for the Friday 13th movie of your choice," end quote.
Damn.
It's just take this and apply it to any of them.
Yeah,
that's all I need to do, and I ain't ever fucking doing this again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brutal.
At the final scene where we get the slow pan in on the decapitated head of Pamela Voorhees, that was actually an actress with makeup on.
Oh, dude.
And
every
Go ahead,
time.
you can tell.
No, you can totally tell, but
Yes.
every single time, to this day, when they do that zoom shot, I am waiting for her to open her goddamn eyes every single time.
Well, that happened, and she opened her eyes and smiled, but Steve Miner was like, didn't like how it looked. He thought it came off as hokey and bad, so that's why it cuts before that happens.
Damn it.
But part of it was for like to indicate that he had killed Paul, I guess. Like, oh, making mom happy or something. I don't know. I'm glad they didn't do it. During the filming of the opening scene, when Alice got stabbed by the ice pick, it was supposed to be a retractable ice pick, and when they did it, it didn't retract and stabbed her in the face. Alice and Crazy Ralph are the only two surviving characters from the first one, and they're both killed by Jason, and neither are mentioned by name in this movie.
I like how they clean house that fast. They're like, what's their name? Doesn't even matter.
Scott is the first victim to be killed by Jason with a machete. Just a notable thing,
interesting.
That's an iconic weapon, yeah. According to Steve... Oh, I just thought this was a funny trivia note. According to director Steve Miner, the ending where Jason attacks Ginny through the window is not a dream, which also gives us a mystery as to what happened to Muffin.
Well, then if that's not a dream, Muffin's alive.
Muffin's alive. And then what? Wait, then what happened to Muffin?
Nothing happened to Muffin. Muffin's fine.
Unless Jason did something to Muffin.
Well, I didn't see Muffin
because we don't know. I
after that point, we don't know.
Yes,
but,
yeah,
right, exactly. That's what it's saying.
But Muffin didn't die. They just found some other dead dog.
Some other random dead dog.
Muffin actually ran into Jason. Jason's like, "You're a dog," and let it go. Like, why would I kill you?
Yeah, that other one was an animal attack.
Yeah.
As of now, this is the only Friday the 13th sequel to feature the final girl from the previous movie.
Okay.
Okay.
And lastly, fucking 1981 was the year for hammering cops in the head because Halloween 2 came out the same year, and in both movies, Michael and Jason hit a cop in the head with a hammer.
Good.
Hammer time and
Love to see
sequels. Yeah. So that covers all our behind the scenes stuff, everything I thought worth mentioning. And at this time, we can go on down to our 666 questions that we put every movie through on our journey to discover if it belongs in the Chuddle Club crypt. Let's begin. 6 Part 2. All right, so we got our 6 discussion points. I know you guys know what they are, but we did change it recently, so I am going to run through them real quick. Then we can have open discussion, and then I'll run through them by one before we move on, just so we don't forget anything. So we got our scenes, we got our lines and interactions, we got our characters, our kills/score, our scares, and then we added craftsmanship as a way to talk about the way the movie was executed. All right. Scenes. Let's kick this bitch off.
I know it's towards like the latter end of the film, but one of my favorite scenes in this movie is at the end when Jenny is in the cabin, and then from a distance you can see Jason running through the woods towards her.
Yes.
Fucking the best. Like
that's the best that I have that listed as a scare, because that's a terrifying, like,
horrifying. Because there's like a split second before that you don't realize what's like. You're like, is that? Oh shit! Oh god! It's like a
just in the frame. Oh, running! Like,
I gotta say, I watched it twice and I missed it both times.
Oh goddamn! Okay, so it's when she's running into his cabin at the end of the movie. There's a shot where she's in there, and you see it's before. I don't know if he actually busts in or whatever, but there's like a little window, and from the woods you just see like a little white blur moving into frame, and then it's just him just like running, hauling ass with his pitchfork, full speed towards it. It's terrifying.
God,
it's so effective. Like, yeah.
I think I was distracted by the gross toilet both times.
Oh, yeah, that is a gross toilet.
That is a very fucking gross toilet.
Everything about that place is pretty
yucky.
Gross.
Ew,
It's
you live
yucky,
here?
right? And okay, so when did he get the pillow sack head mask? When do you think that happened? Because that's pretty clean.
A really good point.
It's sort of his clothes compared to his like
that. I would say that weekend. You know what I mean? Like, I think if he's going out and like
found it and tied it off.
Yeah, he's doing some like real-time murder now. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's just like, you know what? I gotta get the attire for it. I don't want people freaked out. Or maybe it was because of like the beginning scene with Alice, because that's not at camp. So, like,
Right.
if he was like, "Oh, I gotta get dressed,"
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, he gets it from her. Alice had it from a Halloween costume for the town that turned at sundown.
could you? Okay, hold on. In an alternate universe, could you imagine that the perpetual mask used for the entire series was the one that Ted was wearing when they make the fake Jason come out?
It was
Which
like,
kind of
Right?
he's like in a spear. He has a spear and a bunch of fur on him, like
a loincloth,
caveman style, and then he's got this fucking wretched looking, weird, sharp toothed. It's like a old man,
half werewolf,
Troll 2 goblin type.
Yes.
Yeah, goblin man thing with a spear that's very real.
very real spear.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and is used later.
It works.
Yeah.
It's a working spear.
A working spear. It's God, dude. I thought about that. I'd be like, that. I wonder how insane or crazy or off the rails this series would get if it wasn't just like a hockey mask. It was just this weird feral werewolf man.
Yeah.
Be interesting. I wonder how successful it would have been.
Right.
Now,
Although, you know, we have the first two movies, we haven't even gotten to a hockey mask yet. So
It's true.
exactly,
Yeah,
which is
we
once
get
we finally
Sackhead.
get there, and he knows it, we all know it. He found his
Yeah.
thing. And I wish we
Jason
would.
knows it. Is
How
that what you're
Jason,
saying?
how Jason got his
Like he
groove
put it
back.
on, he was like, "Oh, yes."
See,
Okay.
I could have used
Look
a
good,
more of
feel
a.
good.
I don't remember, and we'll get to 3 when 3 happens and he actually finds it and stuff. But I would like to see more of him finding himself with different mask types,
Different
putting
masks.
putting on
trying
this
different
mask and be like,
ones. Sure.
no, back to the
Don't want
sack.
That would have been good when he find the mask and takes it off and takes his spear. He could have like found it and like taken off the sack and put that on.
And just have a whole thing and have like, I don't know. Even better. Okay, so he has all these different masks. He brings him back to his cabin, goes into the room with his mother, and does kind of like a dressing room
like a show
scene,
and tell.
like where he
Yes,
pops in and out
absolutely.
with a mask.
We get a
on each-
montage
Oh
of
my
him.
gosh,
Yeah.
just him
And his
popping
mom's
out,
sitting there
popping
like,
back
nope.
in.
Well,
Uh-huh.
and each time
Hate
it's
it.
just like a rotting like corpse skull like head, not reacting at all, but he's reacting to whatever he thinks she's.
I do
doing.
like that Betsy Palmer's apparently all her scenes. She was like, "Yeah, I'll be in the film as long as it's not an inconvenience for me." So they filmed all of it in her backyard. They
I
went
know
to
that.
her house.
That's funny. I didn't read that. I did read that it was half a day, and that apparently she forgot she was even in this because at like cons she has said that the first one after the first one she refused to be in any other ones.
Mhm.
But clearly she was because she's in this one.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
for her backyard doesn't count. As
They
being
just set it up, put up a black
Right.
screen in her backyard and set up some lights and then just had her, do it out there. And then we're out.
Worked.
You know who's a character who I thought was immediately going to die, but wound up not dying? Ted. The guy who
Oh,
sets
yeah.
up the
I
prank
have a
of
note
the
for
tow
that.
truck, and then like he's just hanging out with the locals, drinking all night.
Yeah. Ted, the comic relief lives,
Yeah.
which you'd never see. And he didn't have any dialogue, but there's a black guy at the camp who's going to be a counselor. And when I first saw him, I was like, oh, that's a victim. Traditional horror trope. He also goes with Ted to this thing and just
Honestly,
has a great night.
It's one of my
A few
favorite
other people
parts.
do.
It's one of my favorite parts about conceptually this sequel is that in a lot of slashers you have a group of people and then all of them kind of systematically get murdered. This one is one of the first ones to have like a group and then a bunch of them leave and like they don't come back and not
But
in a bad way. They're just
Ted's
out
the only
partying.
character we met, though, of those people. I almost feel like they started with this many people and they're like, we fucking don't need all these
We are,
people.
yeah.
Like,
We
let's just
cannot
send
be
half of
killing all
them
these
away.
people.
Yeah.
They didn't have the budget
guys,
to kill that many people. So they're just like, send them into town.
hey guys, the thresher that we bought that we were going to put 15 of you guys laying down a row to get murdered broke. We can't do that scene. We're just shipping you off to the town.
Mm-hmm. Have a nice night.
Have a nice night.
I like when, well, I don't like it. It's just ridiculous when Scott takes his slingshot and shoots,
Oh, yes.
Terry,
I have
yes.
the note of
But
that.
I'm
Well,
like,
it's funny because
what?
Terry grabs the wrong. Well,
She
it's
grabs the wrong
wrong
butt
butt
cheek.
cheek.
But what I like even more is the way he reveals himself. He like steps out from behind a bush and like sassily presents the slingshot to her and like gives her a look like, yeah, I'm a bad boy or so. I don't even know what it is.
He
It is
seems like
bizarre.
about
Such a
5
goober.
or 6 years too old to be playing around with a slingshot bad boy. Like it seems,
Yes.
it's so funny.
It's so fucking
Terrible.
weird.
Yeah.
Like he's such a.
That's my first note. Is that
He's such a cringy horn dog. But like one of my favorites is him just dancing with the dog. Him just talking to that dog
Mhm.
was fantastic. But besides that, he's very hands-on, stealing clothes and shooting butts.
Mhm.
Yeah, he is. Stealing clothes and shooting butts.
And a quick line
Good
that I
rap
do
album.
like is when I think it's Ted is cooking or is finished cooking. He's like, "Come and get him," and the one dude's
Oh.
just then he's like, "I'm here."
Right here. I have that too. Where is that? Yeah, I love that. I also the beginning, just the very beginning, where it's Alice sleeping. And it's like, all right, remember the end of the first one? Well,
Oh,
here
yeah,
we'll refresh
There
you
you
because
go.
you're gonna get a lot of it really quickly. And remember, this was our main person. She survived. There's Jason. There's Pamela Voorhees. Da da da.
Remember this
And now
that
she's
happened
gonna
10
get
months ago with you guys?
Right.
Right?
But 10 months ago for you, for them, it happened 5 years ago. And now we're going to stab that girl in the face and get rid of her. Also, in the deleted scene version of it, that ice pick goes in and then comes out the other side of her face.
Oh,
Is way gnarlier.
Sure. That
so
sounds
good.
dope.
That's so good. That intro scene with the little, like the kid splashing through, is the most soaked Converse I've ever. Those are beyond like not weatherproof shoes whatsoever.
Well, and like, why do that? Why is there feet of a little kid singing Itsy Bitsy Spider? Like, it's not like, and now we follow this kid into the house, and like, it's,
Yeah. Well, it's they Friday the 13th, at least in the beginning, in the first one we covered, he was blatant. It's like, I want to copy as much shit as possible from other slashers. Like that's such a weird Halloween move, but not on Halloween. As in, like, little kid walks by and then just slush.
sure,
It
you
just
have
felt
little
like
kids
it.
in the streets
It
on
felt like he was
Halloween.
about to be greeted by a clown in the sewer.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
What I like in the first one is it's all killer POV. Like almost everything is from the point of view of the killer,
Mhm.
And this one, it's all the feet of the killer walking around. Like, you don't see what the killer's looking at, but you do
You
get
see
to
his
see their
footwear.
those
Mhm.
footsteps.
Mhm.
So watch out. Which is an interesting choice to make.
Right. You still get some POV, but then you get like pump fake POV because then you've got
Do
like
you get any POV? I get
they're like windows
Uh-huh.
and stuff like that. I mean, like, but one of them is crazy Ralph, and then he gets fucking murdered. Like you think it's someone peeping, and then he gets peeped.
huh?
Someone's peeping
Crazy
in
Ralph
here.
gets the thing from behind.
He gets
Yeah.
rotted.
Yeah, but he was the one. There's like a weird POV shot of like you see someone looking through like windows and shit, and then it cuts back and you realize it's him, and not Jason. But then Jason's behind him and kills him. So
Oh,
you
gotcha.
like the whole lead up is like you're thinking it's supposed to be Jason, but it's not.
Right.
It's just yeah.
Right. I also love. I was so disappointed when he got killed. Again, not having seen the movies, I was hoping he was going to be in everyone, being like, "I told the last ones, and I'll tell you, you're doomed."
The doom's here. My
that
favorite
was
part
so
about
funny when he came in and said that at the beginning.
my favorite part about his death too is that I think the tree is cut or it's fake in the fact that because you've got Jason with both of the it's like barbed wire, right? Yeah, it's like the wire type thing on both hands, but he goes directly down, as in like right above his head. So like
Sure.
there's no tree there. So like you see it and you're like, wait, something's wrong with that because he doesn't loop around. He just kind of goes "Ugh."
Physics.
Physics, trees, tree physics, metaphysics.
Physics.
I will go for the most effective scare literally in the series for me.
In the series, all of them.
Yeah. Is the goddamn fucking peekaboo Jason revealed under the sheet? Because like you're so trained as a horror junkie is that like the white sheet and you flip it up and then like you're just supposed to see the bodies. And then like having him underneath the sheet and just going boo like that was
That's funny. I like to
like,
imagine him before she comes in the room. He's like, okay, I'm gonna just get under here. Let me pull
I'm gonna get him so
sheet
fucking
over
bad.
me. I'm gonna get her. I'm gonna
get her so fucking bad.
I'm never gonna know. Okay.
He's giggling.
She's in here. She's in here.
Oh my God, I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it.
Pull the sheet. Pull the sheet. Pull the sheet.
Pull the sheet.
Yes.
Because it is, I don't know what it, because like, I think the first time seeing that, I was expecting to see two dead counselors and then him just be like, it's like so fucking good.
When the sheriff sees him run across the road and then gets out and runs through the woods after him,
and the sheriff goes prancing through the woods. It's
way
so funny.
too long.
Especially the fact of like not having cell phones or probably a properly working radio that far out. Like there would be a certain point in that foot pursuit that I'm assuming the sheriff would be like, wow, I'm really in a lot of trouble if something happens to me all the way out here.
Well, just lost out there would be the bigger concern. But you know, he's got a gun. He should be fine. But really, it just as a movie,
he just goes
we shouldn't watch it for
so
that long.
Yeah,
so long.
I'm gonna
cut
keep
that
going.
shit down
to wind up getting hammered on the job.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
From a storytelling from a storytelling perspective, they should have hammered that one out.
There we go.
To piggyback on your thing.
What's funny is that cop doesn't have a name in the movie.
Just sheriff. Sure.
He has a name, but it came from the novelization of the movie. Deputy Winslow. Deputy Winslow.
That was also like that entire sequence when he is he catches the kids going on a Camp Crystal Lake, and then he brings them back, and then they're all in the office, and like it's baffling to me how Paul doesn't like he's supposed to be running the entire. Is it Paul running the entire? Yeah, and he just looks at him. He's like, "Yeah, no, they're just not going to get extra dessert. What we done here?" It's like, and the cops generally like, honestly, like bad things could probably happen. Maybe I know you're here, but like,
I'm sick of this Jason shit.
Sick of it.
Thank you, officer.
Thank you.
Go die.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
You can go die now. His kill was longer. I think it's not any gorier, but him sort of being like,
walking around with a hammer in his head, like.
Well, yeah. I mean, do we want to start getting into the kills and gore?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, so yeah, as you mentioned, the first one was Alice with the ice pick at the temple, which sounds cooler with the version.
Oh, it's way cooler. I almost I should have done it, but I was gonna film all of them and text it to you guys, like film it with my phone.
Right. And then
I'll do it anyway.
Crazy Ralph's was pretty cool. That's when you got the hugged around the tree.
Yeah.
Well, I like to imagine. I was thinking about it. Jason is standing behind the tree already with his arms already in position up above it, just standing like that, waiting and then hoping
it's
someone
just like
comes
the thing
into
with
place.
the sheet.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh god, I'm gonna get him so bad.
Oh my god, he's about to do it. Holy shit, it's gonna work.
I didn't think this was gonna work. Pulls it down and then gets him easy.
Oh dude, I want to see a movie from his perspective where he's just like talking to himself and like giggle happy the entire time.
It's almost like it's like a Behind the Mask feel to me.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Oh, dude, 100%.
And then
I'd like to think that is it Scott? Yeah, it's Scott who gets in the snare. What do you call that? Where he's dangling by his foot. It's like an animal trap. Mm-hmm. I like to think Jason had been waiting like forever for that, and he had to like take a pee break or something. He goes off to pee, and he hears like, "Ah!" And he's like, "No,
it worked.
I missed it."
He was like, he's been sitting in the bushes. Quick. Like waiting. Yeah. God damn it! I need to go pee.
Terry comes down to start like skinny dipping. He's like, "Get in the trap." She misses the trap, and he's just like, "Oh my god,
someone's gonna come into this trap." Yeah, and then
thank God Pervy Scott showed up and stole some clothes.
There is so much more blood that like sprays and pours down his face and out of his neck in the cut version.
I figured as much.
Because you see it for a second and then it cuts. There's like spurts and everything. It's rad.
That's cool because the kill otherwise is pretty lame. He just kind of like wipes the side of the machete along the throat. It doesn't even look like the blade part touches his throat where it gets cut.
And like the gash is cool, but like the gash, you don't see it. Like they cut it right at the moment where it's about to open and do everything.
Mm-hmm. It's a real shame. I was like, if they had to cut all this to avoid an X rating, I don't want to be the guy that says cut out the boobs, but I would rather have more gore than more boobs.
No, I agree. If that's gonna be the way to,
If
I don't know if that
Sway.
would be the tipping
I
factor
doubt
or
it is.
not.
Well, Terry's killed. Does Terry have anything additional besides just flash to the camera and
Flash
nothing
and
happens?
dead.
We don't see her get killed at all, right?
Yeah.
She just like
Correct.
screams.
That was-
Does she look at the camera when it happens? It
Yeah,
seems like there's
directly
two.
like
Mhm.
POV.
And then she does it another time, right? When she's looking for Muffin. I'm pretty sure and then gets like called away.
I wonder if that was in the contract where it's like, okay, so you can either be fully naked or get killed. And she was like, I really don't want to get killed. I was like, I don't want to get like a bloody death. I'll just do the full nude scene
Oh, right.
and get out of getting covered in goo. I did like Mark's death though.
I was gonna
the
say
death
he
note?
probably has
The death note?
the best death. I mean, it's
Oh,
the machete
yeah.
to the
Dude,
face.
Mark.
Oh, Mark
Wheelchair.
machete to the face and then the
And
then the
wheelchair
wheelchair
going down the
downstairs.
stairs.
And then the magic staircase that
Just
comes
keeps
out of
going.
nowhere. And we get like a freeze frame on it to
Yeah.
like punctuate it at
Yeah.
the end before it's
Bonkers.
even gone down all the way. That
Dude,
was
I was so bummed.
hilarious.
Oh my
So not knowing, like, you had mentioned something about a wheelchair and stairs, but I was not prepared for what I got. Especially because there's the little stairs right before then.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there
And
it
then you don't
was.
see
And I'm
the
like, oh my
50
God.
steps behind
Mhm.
it. I did like, okay, so the,
We hadn't even seen those
Was it
stairs
Vicky?
before.
Was Vicky with Mark and they were about to kind of get it on? I think that's
Yes.
it was Vicky.
Yes.
That was one of my favorite lines that wasn't like super ridiculous, where they hand the video games out and goes, "What do you want to play for?" And she just stares at him and goes, "Positions." And
Mhm.
who's like, "Oh,
Oh yeah,
all
they're
right."
super flirty the whole time.
I thought
Apparently,
it was pretty ridiculous, but I loved it. I loved all their
100%.
dialogue.
I like how he was shooting it down the whole time.
the actress that played Vicky was super into the guy who played Mark and was like all
Oh,
getting flirty
awesome.
with him. But then Mark was like, "So I'm gay." And that's not gonna work.
Which is really funny because in the film it almost plays that way. Like I was waiting for him to be like, "Hey, I'm in training."
Yeah,
But I
it seems
also
like
don't
he's like,
women.
I don't know if it seems like he's trying to be like
Hey, I'm okay.
not into her advances, but he clearly also is. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
tell which way he was going to go with it. But then he gets,
Then he gets
machete to the
macheted
face, so we
in the
don't ever find
face.
out.
And we're talking like
But he does say,
full in the
everything
face.
else works just fine, or whatever it is.
He was
He
gonna
does give some of
he
that.
was,
Oh, I know.
he was talking about his dick.
break her off.
Oh God, Sam.
Hey,
Hey, what? Explain yourself.
he was gonna have really good sex with her.
Ah, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
That makes
great.
sense.
Good.
I totally bought it.
Make love,
Totally bought it.
Our goofball character,
Ted.
Oh, Ted, yeah.
just I every time I saw him, for whatever reason, he extremely reminds me of the like nerd at camp in Wet Hot American Summer who does the like wind performance at the
Oh,
end of
sure.
Yes.
The
Okay,
thing.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can see that.
that's all I could think about every time we saw him.
I did like the fact that Ted didn't die because, like, if you were going to pin someone to get fucking nuked in a slasher, Ted's character is very, very palatable to be murdered off.
Oh yeah, the
quickly.
comic relief guy always dies.
Yeah,
Mhm.
always.
I love the fact that he's
Very
just
unusual.
har-harring it with locals.
What other kills do we have? Oh, the two getting penetrated, impaled together in the
Penetrated?
bed, and we just see it
The
pop out of the bottom.
The DP.
You see it.
Double
penetration
penetration.
post-penetration.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I was so disappointed with that. I was like, God, what a like shitty gore for what was happening. Well, in the cut version, you see him get impaled through the top and then burst out the bottom and then back on top with like blood splurting out and then
Oh,
kind
God,
of like
that's great.
writhing around.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, apparently
Yeah.
it's like, God, I wish I wrote the movie down. It's like there's like another scene in another movie that looks almost identical to this, but it apparently is a little bit bloodier and better.
Well, this had it.
Yeah. So there's the version that's good. I want to see
Yeah.
it.
And it's kind of Kevin Bacon gets a small arrow up through the chest,
Mhm.
and this is like a giant spear down through two of them.
Totally.
Exactly.
I mean, sometimes it's an upper, sometimes it's a downer. This was a downer.
Yeah, I would say that this spear was more of a
Double
shower.
Shower
A
than a
shower.
grower.
I mean, yeah.
Hmm. Maybe it's both.
When you saw the spear for the first time, were you just immediately like, where you're immediately like, okay, someone's going to get viciously murdered with that thing.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. But I think, we were expecting that. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Of course. I didn't write down the kills. Are there?
No, that's the end of the kills
to talk about.
I
Yeah.
think.
I mean, no, because the dog didn't die. So, like, the dog is alive. So I was going to say the dog.
The reveal at the end, where they're like, oh, someone's at the door.
It's Muffin.
Oh, it's Muffin. Hey. That must have been some other dog earlier.
Mhm.
I mean, again, he didn't die, but the fucking machete 6.5 inches into Jason's shoulder was pretty fucking gnarly.
Yeah, that was
like
cool.
That was cool.
The thud was kind of interesting, but then when they pan out and you realize how far that thing is burrowed into him, you're like, oh god.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
that hurts.
He's only got poo water to wash it off with. I mean, I guess he's got the lake.
When they're at the bar talking about it, and Jenny's talking about, well, like, what if he is real and he's got these different things he could be? Something that just shows how dated the movie is and made me laugh. I felt bad about it, but it just like caught me off guard so much was when she's like, well, maybe Jason's this, or maybe he's that, or maybe he's just a frightened R word. I was like, oh my God. Like, it really.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously at that time period, that wasn't, technically, I guess that wasn't a bat. That's like they were.
I don't know because I wasn't alive.
But yeah, it's kind of a jarring, like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I also do like the fact that
certainly
you called
jarring.
it. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of my favorite parts of like calling out the entire movie halfway through the movie. Is being like, what if he's alive? What if he's just hiding out there with a sack over his head with a hole in it? I mean, maybe he ate a dog. Maybe he didn't eat a dog. You're just like, wait, what?
Maybe. And I didn't care for any of these characters that much. I like the final girl in this more than I like the final girl in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the friend group in the first one more than I like the friend group in this one.
Man, I'm almost like, I'm not the opposite. I do really like this group. Like, this was a fun group to get murdered. As in, like, I actually felt for these guys way more than I felt for the original cast of, like, part one.
Oh, not me.
I think it's because I think there's a lot more, like, actual interaction between these characters. Like, while the kills are going on, like, I actually felt more, like, getting to know you. You know what I mean? Like, I got to actually know these characters before they got murdered off.
Sure. Yeah.
No, I agree with you, Ross. I vibed with this crew a little bit. I just think I like the vibe of this movie overall better, so that makes me like the crew better than the first one too.
Oh yeah,
sure,
totally.
Craftsmanship, Ross. You said you had a bunch to say on that.
Fuck yes, I do. 1000% I do. You want to know why? Because they spent their fucking budget on a goddamn Steadicam, and it shows. Like, there are so many good shots in this fucking movie that, like, when characters are running and, like, there's so much action in this movie, as in, like, kind of like cat and mouse stuff. The cinematography is fucking great, and the Steadicam helps out so much. Because if this was, like, original style, like, just, like, lurching POV the entire time, that would borderline almost on a found footage movie with the amount of insanity that goes on with Jason in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I have nothing to say about the craftsmanship on this movie. I was underwhelmed by
I think honestly it was just I think a lot of it was, to me, I think it was shot I'm not gonna say a lot better than the first one, but better than the first one. I mean, like, we talked about it, the Jason scene, like, just the complexity of just having Jason running from the background into the foreground as it kind of moves through the shot. It's like, I don't know, there was just a lot more. There were some cool shots in the first one, don't get me wrong. Like, I like in the first one where it has that weird outside pan shot where they're going through and trying to figure out, like, the breaker, and then the phone lines cut. In the first one was a great cinema, like, that.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that. Yeah,
just fucking love that. Like, this one just has a lot more of those. You know what I mean? Where, like, they're just a lot of thought went into how these scenes were going to be shot, and it definitely shows in some real key areas, especially like the end.
Sure, I think part of. I guess I could say a little bit. The acting in this, the only actor I liked was Jenny. The rest of the actors didn't do for I thought were charismaless and boring.
It's
that's interesting. Yeah, I don't see that. But you know, teach their own. I just have a different feel and vibe for this movie, and I'm more forgiving of I wasn't looking for much out of it, I feel like, compared to the first one. I feel like this one feels more campy to me, in my opinion. And it feels more ridiculous, and they knew what they were doing a little bit more with that, and I enjoyed that aspect, I think.
Yeah, I think with part 2 for me is they took the best aspects of the first one and they really honed in on those, which I think they try doing that every sequel, and as you will find out, it gets interesting and awesome. But like, I think it's like finding those keynotes.
I mean, if that's the case, I'm concerned because I liked this less than the first one, and if it keeps tuning up things that were done in this one, I'm worried.
Be afraid, Sam. Be very afraid.
Before we move on, I just 2 notes that I wanted to say. Pamela Voorhees' sweater and head throne is fucking dope at the end.
Oh my god!
She like comes in and you see just the head with the candles and the sweater in front of it. Dude, it's like, that's fucking cool.
I'm so glad you actually brought that up, dude. Like the end scene of Ginny putting on the sweater and like trying to be Mrs. Voorhees to Jason to try to like lure him out. Like, but head shrine is just like so gross and awesome. Because, you know what I mean? Like, you're expecting some level of, like, decrepitness, I guess. You know what I mean? Because you see the initial severed head inside of the fridge, which is gooey. Because this is only, like, 10 months of goo. So, like, at this point in the movie, this is 5 years mummified Pamela head. And, like, oh, God, it's so awesome. So fucking gross. Although it was really... Okay, first time I actually watched... First or second time?
Do they ever say what the day is? Sorry.
I think so. Friday when the 13th? These guys get... Yeah, I think everything's supposed to happen like on a Friday the 13th.
Well, it would imply that it is, but I feel like it's never
I think in the beginning of this one they talk about it being Friday the 13th. But I could be totally wrong on that. Although the first time I did watch this, I didn't realize that there was a gap between like 10 months after the original and then 5 years after the original. And so the first time watching this, I was like, God, Pamela's fucking head super, super got gross in that shed over the course of like a week.
Mm-hmm. And then so there's the bursting in scene at the end and grabs Ginny and then cuts and then she's okay. So is it just Jason's policy to like catch and release the final girl at the end? She's gonna be like, yeah. Just so you know, I got you.
There needs to be one person to tell the tale.
Go on now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this one was like this ending to me was a little more confusing in the fact of like him going through and then like his like was it Paul shows up, the dog shows up, everybody's okay. She gets like moved into that bedroom area, and then all of a sudden Jason pops out of nowhere, slow, very almost too long, but long slow-mo like. And like out the window trying to grab her. But then all you see is the ambulance and then like she's calling for Paul. You have no idea if Paul is alive or dead. And then you have no idea what happened to the dog. Honestly, I'm more concerned about the dog than anyone else. I was just like, just let me know.
And then you get the slow pan in on the corpse head that does not smile.
Give me one or the other. Eyes. You know what I mean? Like, or like a Freddy vs. Jason where it's just Pamela and then she opens her eyes and just goes, wink.
All right. Scenes, lines, characters, kills, gore, scares, craftsmanship. You guys got anything else to say?
I don't think so.
All right. Then it is time for a breaky poo. And we are back. And we are back to keep talking about Friday the 13th Part 2. And so I have our next 6 for us. And that is 6 Part 2, Chapter 2, A New Beginning.
I like that. All right, good.
Would we survive? I certainly think it's possible.
Yes.
I mean, it depends. Are we... let's assume that we don't get to go party and leave this little campus.
Well, I was going to say, I would probably be like... like, if I was in this initial group of counselors that goes, and I have the option to, like, go into town and hang out with people or just, like, hang out at the cabin, I'm probably staying at the cabin. Yeah. So I'm already making the choice to stay, which is probably a bad decision anyway. So I think at that point, you know, I'm going to get got.
Yeah, well, he really relies on sneak attacks, too. There's not, like, a whole lot of cat and mouse except for the very end of the movie.
Mm-hmm. It is true. I think if you just hung out with the door closed in your room, you probably could have survived this entire thing. if you weren't having sex and being massively distracted from someone walking in.
That's true. I didn't think of that. But yeah, I don't know. It's still, I think I have less of a chance like against one-on-one still with Jason, but
Oh, yeah. You would just hope you didn't make enough ruckus that you could just be like, what happened?
no, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm going to die. This is one of the ones I don't think I'm making it out for some
You're not
reason.
making it
I think
out.
I'm just dead. I'm hanging out at this cabin. I am going to be distracted. I'm going to be the one that's by myself skinny dipping in the lake.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
See, I would get killed because I tried to put on Pamela's sweater, but it would only fit across like the top of my head.
So
And
you
then
tear
I
it.
would just get, I would just tear it and it'd go right
You
above my
just
eyes.
like completely rip it apart as you put it on.
Just disintegrates, and then I just get
You're just like
pickaxe to
holding
death.
two pieces of cloth, like, you did a good job, Jason.
You totally no, okay, just all right. Not the face.
It's hard for me to determine really because I feel like he either sneak attack kills you, or there's a little cat and mouse, but there's no like real fighting. I feel like I don't really know what I'm up against that much in this, if that makes sense.
I would say a feral man who's lived in the
Feral
woods.
Jason. Mm-hmm.
Feral Jason. This isn't even like well-rounded.
The
Jason.
actor, I
This
think,
is-
Italian actor Jason,
Yeah.
like
This fucking
you
guy.
couldn't see shit. First of all, in the mask, because obviously he's like every time
Just
you
one
would
eye.
move around, it's just one eye and it would bounce around everywhere. So I'm running around not being able to see anything. I think he broke a couple ribs at one of the points when he like falls down and like tumbles down somewhere. He like when he breaks his hands through one of the doors, like the door wasn't done properly or something, so he like messes up the side of his hand.
Oh my
There's a
God.
part where
That's why he has like must be he.
in the
So
final
You see him
scene.
holding the knife, and he's got like a bruised thumbnail.
Well, there's that, yeah, exactly. But in the final scene too, that when there's the machete versus like the pick fight or whatever,
Yeah.
something happens where it doesn't hit in the right place, and he gets like he had to go to the hospital because he got his like finger like sliced or something like that.
Mhm.
Oh,
So went to the
shit.
hospital, got it bandaged up, and then came back on set and
Is
finished
he
filming.
This
Yep.
this Jason sounds like he's like the anti-Ghostface. You know how Ghostface can literally get like bashed and beaten and everything like that, and the person underneath it is completely unharmed in their face. Like
Mhm.
this is the opposite, where he's got this hood on and everything around him hurts him immensely. He's got broken ribs. He has a sliced finger. His hands are all fucked up.
Yeah.
He's an old Italian guy.
Old Italian Jason.
Did anything pull you out of the movie? The R word, the frightened R word, pulled
God, I
me out of the
missed it.
movie.
Yeah.
The shooting the slingshot at the butt pulled me out of the movie.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
God, there was another one I'm blanking. Oh, the sheriff running through the woods for 5 minutes
Mm,
by
that was
himself. It's not like you even see a figure that he's chasing. It's
You just
just
see
him
him
running alone.
good.
Yeah.
Prancing along.
Do you guys have anything?
Oh, I'm sorry. I love it. I love to think that, like, yes, keep it going. Maybe they had to pad that because they had to take out.
It's
other
okay.
shit.
There's an extra 48
They're like,
seconds of him running.
Guys,
Running.
we have like 10 minutes of him running through the woods for some reason.
Percent. And it's because the 10 minutes of gore they had to cut out of the movie. It's like, just
Mhm.
keep on going. I know
Well,
it
let's
sounds
do
weird,
that.
but like, yeah.
What kind of tone or vibe did it have? We've touched on this. You guys say campy.
Camp. Marsh Schmores camp.
I don't know what to say about it. Sort of a traditional
Campy
sort of
slasher vibes, yeah.
Yeah.
B slasher,
Mhm.
low budget slasher film. Is there anything about this movie that is unusual for the genre? Nah.
Nah.
No.
Dog. Well, other than the fact that the comic relief
Lives.
leaves and lives.
Yeah. You get a selection of people that
with
you see that live.
Yeah. They're like too many people, break it off. But I think, I don't know, not necessarily that's intentional. What is the message of the movie, if there is one?
Just
Don't
don't go
be-
anywhere
don't go-
near Camp Crystal Lake. Like, it's even across the lake,
Mhm.
a lake adjacent. I mean, like, at this point, it seems like the territory of the Voorheeses went from one camp to the entire
It's just the lake in
lakefront.
general now. But
Yeah. So just figure, get your shit together, guys. let's.
Or don't hang out in your apartment and make tea, because you could get ice picked in the face.
Yeah, if you survive the Voorheeses, they will come after you.
Don't kill
Now they might pop out at you at the end, and they'll let you go. But then they're gonna wait till they've grown strong 5 years later, come back and get you.
Even worse.
Was this a setting you're familiar with?
Nope.
We're gonna hit on this, a lot on this
time.
one. It's always gonna be the same. If you hadn't heard it before, haven't been to camps. Ross is from Jersey. All right. Next 6.
Yeah.
We have 6 part 2 : 6x, 6 in space.
Ooh.
Cool. I like that one.
Yeah, that's good.
1. Villain level 1 through 10.
Sackhead Jason. Oh man.
I'm gonna put him at like a 4 for me.
That's funny. I gave him a 7.
Yeah, I do like a 6.5 because he's still. I mean, like he's a lethal man, but he's at a disadvantage.
I feel like I really don't know what I'm dealing with. Like I really don't know how. Like partially because there's never really a good confrontation. I feel like there's the one at the end, but I just don't know. It's not like with Ghostface where people are scrapping with him throughout the movie or something. It's just like he just pops up and kills somebody and then moves on.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, he does. Ruthless.
Does this deserve a
Mama's boy.
sequel? Should there be a sequel?
Always.
I say yes. At
Always.
this point, I'd be on board to see where Sackhead goes.
Mhm.
I'd say no. Would you buy the soundtrack or score on vinyl? We haven't really touched on it, but it's pretty much the same as the first one. I feel like it's a little busier and heavier, but same guy, Manfredini, did this one.
You know what? If you got the first one, I don't think the second one is necessary. Later installments, 100%. There's going to be some great vinyls.
And then I think if you don't want the first one, you don't want the second one either. So.
Very much. Yeah.
Same. Yep.
Totally.
Is anything action figure worthy?
Yeah.
I'll
Dude,
take
just
Sackhead.
the Sackhead and the shrine. Dude, just the shrine as
Shrine's
would be.
cool as shit. Yeah. What merch or prop would you want from the film?
Sack mask.
Yeah,
just the pillowcase with the hole in it.
With a
I got
hole
a
in
couple of those.
The Pamela head.
Pamela head is a very good
yeah,
option.
the Pamela head would be a great one. I'd love, just for myself, the Mickey Mouse crop top.
Oh, you want to wear one of those?
You know,
awesome.
Yeah, for yard work
I'd love
and
to
stuff
see
like that. Oh,
and the shorts
Patreon.
too.
And the shorts too. And then someone can just slingshot one of my ass cheeks, and I grab the wrong one.
Oh, we'll recreate that scene. Yeah, if we get
For Chuddle
20 Supreme Chuddlers, we'll recreate that scene.
What would you do at the midnight showing for this one?
Ooh,
I got 3, and I should have included them earlier. I don't have one for the slingshot. What would you do?
Oh,
just
okay.
everyone slingshot stuff.
So
just using ball. Yeah, it just looks like Swiss cheese
pelts the
afterwards. It's all
screen.
ball bearings and shit.
So at the very beginning, after Alice gets killed, the tea kettle goes off.
Yeah,
and Jason
just tea bags
moves takes it off for some reason.
You got it.
We see his hand be like, oh. So everybody else, tea's ready when Jason moves it. There is this scene which Brian touched on where Ted's man in the grill, he says, come and get him. And the guy's like standing right there and he says, I'm here. The whole crowd yells, I'm here with him.
Oh, sure.
That's perfect.
Would be a fun one.
And then they throw hot dogs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here. And everybody throws a hot dog at the screen.
I want everyone to throw a little small dog treat at the end of the movie when you realize the dog's still alive.
When Muffin's alive.
When Muffin's
That's
alive.
a good one.
I mean, the movie does. Right after the scene where you see the dead dog, you do see hot dogs burning on the grill. I mean, that's. Come on, that's brilliant. I hate it.
It's so good.
Didn't even notice.
Yeah. You watched it wrong.
Twice.
Yeah. It'll happen.
When Terry, so after she'd been skinny dipping and Scott gets strung up, she goes to like find a knife or something. And we're kind of watching her from the bushes as she's running towards the cabin. And she just takes her towel and like throws it at the camera in the bush.
Oh, yeah.
So Everybody yells, "Fuck this towel" when she throws the towel in the bush.
That's a good one.
Because that is ridiculous. That was another thing that brought me out of it. Like,
just throwing clothes in a bush.
She just throws it away, basically. Very silly. You guys got any more?
Nah.
No, I think those were great.
All right. Ratings bar.
Bum, bum.
As you Chuddlemen know, on this show, we use a scaling of 0 to 5 severed fingers to rate a movie. Each finger adds to the score with more fingers equaling a higher score. That makes sense. You get it. You chop off half a finger, no finger, whatever you want to do. We're going to use the Chuddle scale. Each finger engaging, sticky, t-shirtable, cockles, rewatchable. Brian, let's start with you.
Why?
Because you seem to like it.
Huh? Sure. Yeah, I mean, I do like it, but I think you're going to be surprised by my score. Engaging, I'm going to give it a 0.5. Sticky, a 0.5 as well. T-shirtable, I'm going in at a 0.5. The cockles had me right there with a 0.5. And rewatchable, I think I'm going to give it a 0.5. I think it's about a 2.5, right in the middle of the road for me. I believe I gave the first one a 2. And I think I do like this one more. And it's going in the right direction, but I'm still not like, again, it's going to become the problem of, comparing against the rest of the series, but it's still not going to this one as my first watch for going to any in the series.
Totally. I'm glad to hear that.
But I like it better. I certainly like it better than the first one. I had fun and I liked what they were doing.
I have a feeling we're going to be reversed, but I haven't done my score yet. At least, scores for the 2 movies. Rosticle, Posticle, Big Boss, Topsicle. What's your score, Big Dog? Give us some fingers.
Engaging is going to be a full finger for engaging. I was engaged the entire time watching this movie. Sticky, I'm going to give it a 0.5 on Sticky. There's some great scenes, but there's better scenes in the series. So it's that, just didn't revisit the times. T-shirtable, full 1 for T-shirtable. That's, most, if all Friday the 13th movies are going to get a full T-shirt for me.
Yeah, it's the franchise kind of elevates.
But part 2, dude, Sackhead is got its own vibe going on. You know what I mean? And then honestly, just having the shrine with Sackhead on the front of a shirt.
The shrine's dope as fuck, yeah.
So good. Cockles. I'm going to give Cockles going to get a 0.5. I mean, there were some great hitter scenes, but like by 0.5. And then rewatchable, sure. I'm going to give a 0.5 as well, just because I do like this movie, but it's weight against the franchise. So it's like that weird, like, if I'm going to watch this isn't going to be the top one I'm going to watch in the series of the Friday the 13th films.
Totally. So I have that as giving you a 3.5 out of 5.
Yay.
All right. That just leaves me. The old
Hey, Sam.
Sammerdoozle.
What's your score? Let's
find out. Engaging. That's going to be a 0.5. Definitely found myself not being able to pay full attention to it. I was trying to. I was actually hoping to fit in a third watch. I just didn't have time. But, I didn't even notice the Jason running in the background.
You should, as we go through the series, you should watch 2 twice, 3 times. So by the time we get to, like, Jason X, you have to watch it 10 times.
10 times. Deal. 0.5 for engaging. Sticky. I think I'm going to give it a 0 for Sticky. Like, I'm not sure I'm going to remember fucking anything from this one. We'll see. But that's where it stands now. T-shirtable, we'll give it 0.5, I think, just because it's a Friday thing and that the dope throne we've talked about several times. 0.5 there. Rewatchable, I'll be generous and give it half, and that's just like, because, maybe I'll do a watch through the whole series.
Yeah,
right.
That'll get it there. And cockles, I don't think it really did anything for my cockles.
Cockles or knuckles? It's a knuckle.
That's a 1.5, which is pretty bad. Not good. Okay, so moving on. 6, part 2, just 2, as in just 2 questions this time. Semicolon, the final questions.
Nice.
Thank
that was
you.
like a Tier Duncan.
Tiern.
Tiernan Duncan. Turducken.
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 It's turducken, yeah, but you always say Tiern.
Duncan.
You say
Tiernan
turducken a lot, and you always say Tiernan Duncan.
We don't do yours with a pterodactyl?
Oh my god, I didn't even know that was possible. We'll talk after. So, doesn't make it to the Chuddle Club crypt. You gotta have an average score of 4 fingers between the 3 of us. That's a big noperino. It's gonna be a 2.5, right down the middle. Lastly, would you rather? Now, I was having a real hard time coming up with a would you rather. So I'm just gonna give you what I got.
All right.
And that is, if the ending scene, you're there and you got to trick Jason as Pamela Voorhees, but you're not putting on the sweater. You're either holding up the head and pretending it's your head and talking with it, or holding up the rest of the body kind of in front of your body and flapping it around with your head on top and talking that way. Which way are you going to go? Why?
I'm just going to hold the head up, I think.
See, I would do a weird hostage situation and just have the candles be like, I will burn this head. You back up. You back up.
It's like, put my mommy down.
Put my mom down.
Put the mommy down. Put
She
the
doesn't
mommy
do
head
nothing.
down. Yeah, no, I think I'll try to put the head in front of me. Just have to, hold it there.
Yeah.
Maybe,
It's okay, Jason. You've done good.
maybe I'll put my head through my collar
you
of my
put the
shirt.
Pamela sweater on,
Yeah.
and then
On
tuck your head
top.
in the sweater and hold the head on top.
But what's going to happen is I'm going to go in and I'm going to go to grab the head. And then it's just going to, as I pick it up, it turns to dust.
Yeah,
Just for goo.
Right
It
as he
just
walks
starts
in, it's just like,
liquefying. And just
well, this was how the Chuddle Boys got themselves into a predicament.
how they're going to get himself out of this pickle.
And then Sackhead comes and gets you.
Great. Sounds great. Well, that wraps it up, boys. Not much else to talk about. Follow us where we can be followed. Rate us. Tell your friends if you have friends. Tell them, please. And everything we talked about earlier is in
If
our
you
show.
listen to us and you don't have any real friends, we're
Hop
your
in our
friends.
Discord and we'll be your friends. Link in the show notes. But until next time.
I'd let you hang, you pervert.